Welcome, everyone. Once again, we are coming at you live on my personal page instead of inside the Radiant Evolution Collective, thanks to Zoom being special in Zoom. Zoom, we're so grateful for you connecting all of us throughout this pandemic and even before. And also, if things would stop changing randomly, that would be cool. Just a little heads up would be lovely. So this is a familiar sight. You have seen Nicole and I come on many times, but this is a little bit different. So Nicole Rose, or Radiant Soul Nicole, as we often refer to her with her superhero name, is a dear soul sister of mine and the founder of the Radiant Soul Retreats, the co-founder of the Radiant Evolution Collective and the Playground membership with myself, and we adore co-creating. We've got more in store in our co-creations coming up soon. And today we're going to talk about her evolution as a radiant soul, but also as an entrepreneur. Because this was always something that was as long as I've known you for the last decade, that was in the background of wanting to bring in your own soul codes and share them with the world in a variety of different ways. But it's only been recently that you've fully stepped into the process. So we'll dive into that. But first, I just want to say hi and welcome back. We were here yesterday doing this almost.
Yes. Hello and welcome back. Yes. We were in real physical space together though yesterday, so that was really lovely. And it's also so familiar to chat on Zoom like this too.
Absolutely. And it's almost more familiar because we've done more of this than being in the same place. When we were filming yesterday, we were in the same room side by side. So it's like, look at the screen, look at each other. This is weird. So, Nicole, many people do know you already, but I just want to introduce you a little bit further. I mean, I met Nicole almost a decade ago through hoop dance, if anyone has not heard our origin story yet. And then about 6.5 years ago, you approached me to help you co-create the Radiant Soul Retreat. And that was our first time connecting together in a co-creation in that manner. And it was so fun. We were like, let's do it again. Until we both got pregnant and had little tiny humans. We're like, let's do it later. And then just this last year and a half, we've had more and more co-creations pop in and so many more in our field. Nicole is a soul embodiment guide, and she also created a very cool course called Human Being, because that is what she is so profoundly good at now. It wasn't always this way. About really tapping into the beingness and embodying the being over the doing, which is a skill set that not everybody has. She also has a phenomenal amount of other skills, including event management and organization, which I absolutely love tapping into for our co-creations as well. So I am so grateful to know you, have you in my life as a friend and a collaborator, because it's just so much fun to work with you and co-create in all of these different facets.
Thank you for that. And yes, I agree. It's so much fun to work together. I used to judge myself because I didn't necessarily always have the big visions. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I have that? And I don't need to have that, I realize now. And that's why I love working with you so much, because you often have that big vision and I have you could do this small detail stuff, but that's not what you want to be doing and where your gifts lie as much. And that's why we work so well together, because I can bring that focus and those small details in, and then we can create magic together. And yeah, it's so lovely.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everybody's got different soul gifts, and we can either push against them because we're wishing that we were doing something a different way or that we were a different person.
Sorry.
That's okay. Every time I need to check the comments, that happens too. Facebook will turn the volume up even though it's already off on your phone. It's like so much fun. Um, yeah, but once we start to accept who we really are instead of trying to be something that we're not, the shift happens. What was that shift like for you? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I feel like I went through that in my own life just personally, like around a decade ago, of like being like, I know I'm not happy with where I'm at. I want to be something else. I don't know how to do that. I see these other people being happy. How about I try to be like them? Wait, what they're doing isn't working. And I'm like, oh, because I'm trying to be like them rather than being like myself. And so eventually, after many years, figured out how to be myself. And I mean, I was always being myself along the way, but it just wasn't like, it's always its fuller embodiment of yourself as you go along. So I was doing the best that I could with what I had at the time and learning along the way and growing. And now in the past year, I feel like I've gone through that whole process again in like entrepreneurship. And it's been interesting to be like, I think I should be this because other people do this and I want to be like them and that's what they need. And then really coming back to when I ran my last program, like really understanding people wanted to be in my space and it was really important for them to be held by my energy in my container. And I don't think that I really appreciated that until going through that experience. I'm so grateful that, people chose to be in my space when I ran my human being program. And, it was very vulnerable, like the where people were at in their lives at the time, and being able to realize that where they felt safe ish was with me, because I don't think I'm learning in a course right now, we cannot create safe space, but we can create safer space. Because if we actually, by saying that we're creating safe space, sets us up to fail, it sets people up to um, potentially be harmed because they think this is a safe space for them. And what if it's not? Right? So that's why we want to try to create safer spaces in the workshops and the facilitation work that we're doing, or if we're working on clients or whatever it is we're doing, trying to make it safer for them to show up as who they truly are in their human beingness, and letting them to have a safe space to land so they can explore and I guess go through that same journey that I have gone through, and so many others, of like, who am I? How do I show up in the world as myself in my full authenticity? And there's so many times in our lives where it's not safe to do that. So kind of went on a little tangent here, but that's where I'm at right now in my own journey, I guess, and like realizing what I want to bring to the world as I, plan my next iteration of this program that I'm going to be offering again sometime in the fall. I really want to give people a safe space to be themselves. Sorry, safer space to be themselves in their beingness, and have the space where they can land into the softness and exploring the truth of who they are. And what dropped in like a week or two ago is creating multi-dimensional dance experiences, which sounds super fun. After I led a dance journey in our membership, the playground with Gaia, I was like, oh, I want to bring this, like, there's so many different aspects of things that I want to bring into all my work. I get really excited about things and I'm like, I want to do all the things and I want to do it all right now. And then I often chat with you and you're like, that's great. And we can only do so much at one time, but you can do that in the future. Thank you for bringing that a little bit more grounded reality back to what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, that's because I also have this excitement and passion for all of the things. And you know me, I like to have 5 projects on at once. And there is only so much time that we are able to consciously devote to things. And it's okay to have all of the ideas and to put some of them in parking lots so that we can really manage our time effectively, but also give what we need to whatever we are creating. And if you're a multi-passionate, multi-dimensional person, that might look like running a couple things at once, and that's okay, right? Not only, do I work with clients one-on-one, and we have done that in the past, Nicole, but we co-create the playground membership, and then I love to have a group program running at the same time typically. So you came through Evolve with me, which it just finished. It was the 90-day quantum accelerator for entrepreneurs, where we were going through to transform old habits, behaviors, programs, and density to connect with high self, and then start to take the aligned action and trust ourselves enough to work with those big vision things. Um, and it was such a powerful process to go through. But I realized during the process that what I did that one time wasn't actually going to be what I would do the next time. And it, meta program evolve is going to evolve in many ways, as we all do. So I think that's just something I want to speak into. It's okay to start where you're at, because I think that's what was like a hurdle for you, because you wanted to start further along the path than where you actually were. And so there was no acceptance of where you are. So there's this balance of, I am where I am, I honor, accept that, and that's where I'm going to work. But then you also continue the journey of moving forward, training, growing, trying out new things. So, yeah, if you can speak into that process.
Yeah. So what's kind of actually landing in of clarity of this right now for me is because I left a world where I was in my job for nearly 15 years. And so I felt like I'd kind of like evolved to a certain level of where, and I felt like, so I do have transferable skills. And I also think that I maybe thought that I could start further on because I had those transferable skills and not really realizing that, like, while I'm was, pretty good at what I was doing before and I had these skills, I still kind of need to start at the beginning of this entrepreneurship journey, because when I was teaching hoop dance years ago, at one point in time, I wanted to do that full time. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel like I can, leave my cushy full time career job and get the same amount of money teaching classes. And then I realized that I was happy with doing that on the side. So it was more like a side hustle, passion project kind of thing where I teach a couple hoop dance classes a week or summer camps and stuff like that. And that was awesome. Um, but it wasn't like my full on thing until I got that old concussion 2 years ago that was like universe higher self was like, hey, you're getting really too comfortable here. It's time to actually do what you came here for, and you're not doing it on your own. So just gonna give you this little nudge to, leave that cushy job because it's not going to work out for you anymore and you can't make it work, and it's time to do something different. And so, fast forward to the last year, it's been all this learning of how to get there, how to start that. And I think, being in the as soon as I decided I like wanted to be a coach, healer, whatever, I started getting all the ads on Facebook and Instagram about like, do this thing, you have to be getting like 10 6-figure months, and like there's just so much pressure. Like if you're not, it felt like if you're not getting 6-figure months like within your first 3 months of being in business, you're failing, which is totally not true. But it's so much ads and things like directed at me, and it was kind of a lot. And I think I maybe got swept up into into that. And I do recall getting a astrology reading on my birthday last year in October, and Regina was like, just take it slow, give yourself time. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be like, it's gonna grow so fast. And I'm like, oh yeah, that stuck with me, I should have listened. But it's all learning, it's experience. I feel like I am much more in a rooted, grounded place now, and am giving myself permission to take things slowly, to grow. And I've done a lot of stuff along the way, and done a lot of like practice sessions with people and launched my program, and I've learned a lot. And now I've come around kind of where I feel like I'm more rooted and grounded and more clear in what I want to do. Evolve helped so much with like the the divine masculine and the structure, because since my journey in life was from a human doing to a human being, it's kind of challenging to actually like bridge the beingness and the doingness, so that I didn't have to do those both in a way that was not balanced and not harmonious with each other. So I guess it's like that coming back into sacred union with them both, because I think I kind of had those both like I had too much doing and not enough being, and then I sometimes can go into the like too much being, and I need a little bit of the structure to help me so that the doing will come from there. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I love that. And as you're giving that description, it's reminding me of what I was speaking about with Maria just an hour ago about the inner child. So that I believe, and we work with this together and in our programs like the playground, the inner child can be the embodied bridge between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And when they feel safe to express and be, they are so intuitive. Kids will just go and run around and create and do and be all at the same time, right? They will go and run around like a firecracker and then they'll crash and they'll just want to like chill, right? They don't overthink it. They don't over schedule. That's other people imposing that onto them, right? When they follow their innate rhythms, they balance themselves out so beautifully. And so when we can really align the divine masculine and the divine feminine in that right relationship, that sacred relationship, to hold the inner child to be as they are and express and create and do from that place of safety, that's where the magic happens.
Yes. Yeah, and it's not necessarily always easy to get to that place. It's a journey. I feel like for most people that I know of. And yet once we can kind of work on that and master that and be in a place, it that's when we get into that place of beingness, then the doingness can flow from there, and it becomes so much more easy. We're that clear channel, rather we're in that state of flow rather than trying to force. And um, yeah, that forcing just burns us out. We were talking about this yesterday in our session, illumination session. That flow or that force just burns us out. It is not sustainable, and it's not the easiest place to create from, because once we are in that beingness, like I always think, like, how can I live my life as if I'm creating a Halloween costume? When I'm coming up with ideas for Halloween costumes, sometimes they come to me in dreams. Sometimes they come to me like I just get a download, and then like, whew, the whole thing, like my intuition is like, oh, this is how you're gonna craft this thing. And it's always because I'm in that, like, it's fun for me to do that, and I'm like in that playful state. My inner child is totally present, and there's not a lot of attachment to the outcome, because if I like, if I don't make it perfectly, nobody's going to be like, oh my God, Nicole, you could have done so much better on your Halloween costume this year. And if somebody did say that to me, I think I would perhaps be like, well, yeah, I don't maybe want to be around you if that's your attitude.
Oh my gosh, I have to, for people who don't know, I have to actually give them a little bit of background. I mean, you're thinking an ordinary Halloween costume, but that is not what she is talking about. This woman will create the most epic Halloween costumes, the ones that win contests, the ones that get like pictures shared around the internet and become memes. There, just tell us about a couple of the ones that you've created.
Yeah, well, if you see all those peacock feathers behind me, I can't point to them, there they are. That was from my Halloween costume when I was a peacock, and those were like when all behind me had crafted this dress and added like little embellishments to make it look very beautiful. So much so that the CFO of the company that I worked at the time offered to buy the costume from me when I was done it, because he wanted his daughter to wear it. I was like, no, this is very near and dear to my heart. Um, Last year I was uh, a a trash can, because my daughter wanted to be a trash panda, and then like I made this giant trash can costume around me. I was fire before because she wanted to be a firefighter. So yeah, what else was I that one of the favorite ones I think is when I was the grade one school picture background. If you remember like the laser backgrounds from like in the 80s and the 90s, I had that on me, and I found the perfect clothes that were like my appropriate for what I would have actually worn in my school photo at the time, like, and really big things. Once made a paper mache disco ball that was like silver and shiny, and I put it. It was like a big thing I wore all around me. It was amazing. I really love going all out in costumes, and it's so much fun. So I want to channel all of that creativity and fun and flow into the work that I'm doing because it flows so much easier when we're in that state.
You're forgetting about the love bot, which was my
Oh,
personal favorite. The
yeah,
love
you can
robot.
also kind of see those little stickers on the mirror. You may not be able to tell what they are on Zoom. I had like 250 stickers or decals actually produced, and they were little love messages. And yeah, I was a love robot that spread love through decals. It was amazing. And it makes me so happy. I gave up like so many of those to my friends, and I see them on people's water bottles or cars and stuff still, and it just warms my heart to know that they're still spreading love 7 years later.
Okay, so obviously I love you on a personal level for this, but imagine this woman being a co-creator who she's got the event management skills to and the organizational details to take care of the finer points of actually creating some idea and bringing it into form. But also you have the creativity on lockdown. You're like, how can we make this both fun, epic, and beautiful? So I want to just dive into that most epic thing that I think we've created to date. And there will be more coming that's in person, but the Radiant Soul Retreat.
Mm-hmm.
That was your first big event that you had thrown outside of a work scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I woke up one day on May long weekend, a little bit hungover, and I heard this like voice that says, "Nicole, you have to throw a retreat." And I was like, "What? That's silly." And then it came back, and I don't know what else it said, but I'm like, maybe I could do this. And I'm like, it seemed very important. And so I listened, and I'm like, well, maybe I don't have to do it alone. So I reached out to you and had this feeling. I'm like, oh, I need, yeah, to bring your magic and all of that. And so many different amazing local facilitators we pulled in. Um, our friend Cindy made the most amazing food and nourished us all weekend long. It was such delicious food. And I think that I remember looking around and there was at different possibilities for venues, and I found one that was a little like maybe 2 hours out of the city, and it wasn't very big, and it fell through, and I was like, oh my god, we already launched the tickets. What are we gonna do? And you're like, don't worry, something even better is coming. And this is when I did not have that gift of the silver lining perspective. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll trust. I'll trust you because you trust. And we ended up finding a venue that held so many more people, and it was so much bigger than I originally anticipated, and it was so amazing. There was so many transformational experiences for people. I always say like people got divorced after, which is maybe not a good thing for their partners, but for them it gave them the courage and like the clarity that they needed or whatever to actually make those huge life decisions. And it was healing and transformational for so many people. And I can't wait to do that again. And it was such a big experience for me because it gave me so much confidence. First of all, I think that was such a huge turning point in me really being able to listen to my intuition and trust it because I did it. I listened, I followed the nudge, and it turned out even better than I could have imagined. And the following year, when I kept getting a no to do the retreat, and I didn't know why, and I only remembered this recently because it popped up in a memory. Um, I didn't know why, but I'm like, okay, it just as loudly as I heard the message to have the retreat, I also heard that message no. And then I was pregnant, and you already had Charlie, I think, at that point, and she was just a little baby. Um, yeah, and then I heard the message no, and I got unexpectedly pregnant. And like, oh, it all makes sense now. I'm so glad that I am not planning a retreat in my first trimester of pregnancy because I did not feel so good back then. and then honestly, for a few years, I'm like, how am I ever like actually, having giving birth to the baby and having a newborn, and I didn't think I couldn't imagine myself ever actually wanting to do something like that again. It felt like way too much on top of my job. And then my husband got sick for like 18 months. And then, like, the month he got better, I hit my head and got a concussion. And then, so that's been a couple of years. um, so it's been quite a ride since then.
Yes, but we always said that someday we were going to do more of these co-creations together. And during the pandemic, there was a real lack of ability to really do anything in person, but we were missing it so much. We were able to connect in and create some online offerings. So why don't you tell us just a little bit about what that looks like from your perspective as your main entrepreneurial venture right now?
Yeah, so we again, also intuitive hits dropped in, and I was around this time last year, I got a big download that I'm like, I need to create a journal, and I really want there to be like practices to go along with the journal so that like you can like meditate or move or something like that, and then journal from that like place of alignment, or in your evolutionary alchemy system that would be the transformational piece often. And so you're like, I don't remember exactly. You wanted something similar at that time too. Something was dropping in. I think you had a download to do some sort of membership, but you're like, I don't want to do it alone. And there, the universe is like, hey, why don't you both work together to create this membership, and it'll be supporting the embodiment of all the embodiment practices. That's really where our roots are from: the movement pieces, the meditation pieces, the soul journaling and soul journeys, both of those things, really bringing all of that, our galactic magic, down to earth so we can embody it and become it, and not just, we didn't come to earth to stay in those like astral realms. We came here to embody that and be um, mm, yeah, and bring that. So that's why I'm a soul embodiment guide. I'm going to say that because I want to help people and myself bring more of that galactic magic of our soul into our form. And to do that, we have to often, shake off density, do the healing work that is involved, clearing all away those programs of who we are not, so we can actually become comfortable and confident and feel safe to be who we truly are, and bring that magic out into the world. And I had to do so much of this, my goodness, for myself. Um, because we went out for a brunch in January of 2020, and you made a comment at that brunch about like you always saw me as entrepreneurial. And I was like, I don't really see it, but you have this amazing gift of seeing like the potential there for somebody. And I was very curious about it because I think at that point I was like, I'm really happy just, staying in my job. And well, I was healing from that concussion at that time and trying to make that all work. Um, but yeah, there was so much more. So it's been such a fun journey of course it's fun because it's the playground, of creating the playground with you and Nina, and having this opportunity every month to explore different ways of like rooted and grounded spirituality is really what's coming to me right now. I think it's so important that we have the opportunity to bring these like really multidimensional concepts down to earth in a way that we live it and embody it. So it's not just like something that we do once a month when we're in the ceremony or when we're doing the practice, but it helps us when we embody it to be able to live our lives that way. And that is where the true magic lies. That's why I said I want to live my life the way that I create Halloween costumes. Because when we can do that, we can bring we're just not on default all the time. We are consciously creating our realities and directing, not forcing, but working with our high selves, with spirit and all the elements and all the things to play in this dance of life.
I love that. And there's always so many synchronicities, especially when you're talking with soul sisters, co-creators, because I was never much of a Halloween costume person, but I wanted to live my life in a way that felt like being at a transformational music festival. I think I might have said this yesterday, right? Same, like that no holds barred, creative, embodied, fun, free, expressive, magical way of being. And I set that intention back in 2013. And then I was able to bring that into my life in a whole bunch of different ways that were really unexpected for me. But I really want to speak into, hi Nina, speaking of Soul Sisters and other co-creator of the Playground. I'll be talking with Nina live, I think tomorrow. So the thing about all of this co-creation and the directing of the intention is it doesn't take as long as you might expect. And I was speaking to Maria an hour ago about this, and I was like, 2 years ago, could you imagine that you were where you are right now with this thriving business, owning your expression as a modern day witch and spiritual empowerment guide, right? So I want to ask you that same question, or you already alluded to it. 2020 January, that was a year and a half ago. You were like, I don't have any interest in being an entrepreneur. That doesn't seem like me.
Yeah. It's really wild, and anything before the pandemic started feels like lifetimes ago. So it's like, and it has been, because time is all funny nowadays. um, but no, like I literally couldn't even have, like I wasn't even really wanting to go in that direction at that point, because where all the circumstances in my life, I think I was maybe starting to come out of the life is happening to me. And I maybe just wanted, I don't even know if I was there yet, because that was even before we started our one coaching together, which was so helpful to get me out of that ick. And yeah, there is no way I could have fathomed that I would be where I am now. And I'm so grateful for where I am now, and having the courage and all the support that I needed to get the courage and the confidence to show up and actually do the thing that I always wanted to do, but like there were so many layers and levels of like I didn't think I could do this. I think like that's for other people to do. I'll just, keep living my, quiet little life and doing my things on the side that make me happy, and I don't need any more than that. And that wasn't what I came here to do. I also, this makes me think of, so I was listening to a business podcast a little while ago, and they were talking about like they came up with kind of like what their values were and what they wanted to bring into their business, and were starting a new business, and they just had the like they're like it was either making sourdough bread or one other thing, and it was something completely unrelated, and they're like, well, the bread seems like it'll make more money, so let's do that. And I was like, people start businesses without like putting their whole like persona and identity and all of that stuff into it. That is so strange to me. People can just do that, but of course they can, because I'm sure like people that are doing some sort of mechanical repair shop thing, that's not like their extreme passion in life or something. But maybe it is, but
Sometimes it
not.
is. Some
Sometimes it is,
people
like for
really
sure.
love working, like with their hands and fixing things, and it's just not what our passion is. So it's hard to imagine.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I feel though like there's a deeper level, I guess, when you're being, maybe the difference is that that's like a physical, like something that's more tangible than what we do. Even though there's like so many results from, working with coaches and healers and all of that stuff, it seems a little bit more, or less tangible, I guess, than the examples that I'm thinking of. Like I'm not baking bread, right? I don't know. But it was just so interesting. Like when I'm this whole journey is like really about like I'm putting my whole self into it, all of the things that I've gone through. I just am so passionate about wanting to help people so they don't have to make the same mistakes I do, and they can navigate things a little bit easier and learn to come into that beingness a little bit easier, into the presence, into their heart, so they can follow their intuition and follow the dreams and the nudges, and not be so scared along the way.
Mm, yeah, and I really got the difference in why we often use the word soulpreneur, because it's very different than just being an entrepreneur in many ways, because not everybody does pour their soul into it and their own beingness and their own essence, which is what many people are being called to do today. But it is different than someone who's just buying a business to make money,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or creating a business simply to make money. And that's why I love working specifically with soulpreneurs and conscious creators like you, like everyone in the summit, and many people in the playground, all my one on one clients, because these are the people, and let us know if you're watching, if this is you too, who feel like they have this soul mission to do something, but maybe they're not even sure what it is. But it's this like, I'm here to help energy. And some people funnel that into a helping profession, like being a teacher, a nurse, a doctor, a firefighter, a police officer. But there are more and more people who are sort of moving outside of those traditional systems, who feel like they're here to bring in something new, who are here to live life as an example of what is possible instead of um, instead of conforming to what has been, but to rather create this abundance free existence of getting paid to help people, but also do something that lights you up so much. And also that is, breaking the regular boundaries of society, because it's not a brick and mortar business. It's not a service like that, but especially for digital entrepreneurs that are creating like a laptop lifestyle, or just having that time and location freedom and the unlimited abundance potential, as opposed to being, when you're not an entrepreneur, you are basically at the mercy of your paycheck and whatever raises you can get. Whereas when you take ownership for your own abundance, then it becomes infinite, right? The potential is there. There's no one else limiting you but your own success. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for speaking beautifully into what I was trying to trying to say, because that really is that's the difference, is that soulpreneur. It's my soul wanting to come through, and I guess that's why I'm radiant soul Nicole. Like the soul is very important to me.
Yes. And Sarah Leanne is just saying yes to all of those feels, right? Like the people that tend to be in our orbit and that we're helping and are in our playground membership, or that work with me one on one or you one on one, are those individuals that feel like there is something more and they're being guided by something outside of themselves that's actually themselves, right? Their soul, their cosmic trajectory, their destiny, as opposed to the checklist that society gives you about what it looks like to be successful,
Mhm.
right? It's paradigm busting, belief shifting appreciation of our magic and what is possible. So that's actually a really cool time to speak into one of your new collaborations and co-creations with me, which is really exciting. So we may have said this publicly before, but we haven't dropped a lot of details. I've actually hired Nicole to be my program director and inspiration coordinator for a new program where we can help those people, maybe you, if you're someone who's like, I want to be a helper, but I'm not exactly sure how. I want to have my own online business or even in-person business where I'm helping humanity become whole, come into their beingness, heal, express themselves, have some fun, manifest and create the world that we came here to be. But there's so much that goes into that. There's a very large, but how? I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs especially when I was going into the sales for the Evolve program that I did, where it was an entrepreneurial accelerator. And I realized that there were more people that were only just dipping their toe into the entrepreneurial world or the soulpreneur world than people who were ready to accelerate that process. And it came to me just after I launched Evolve that I had an opportunity to support people in stepping into that process, the same way that I was able to step into that process. About a decade ago, I took training with a mentor of mine, Lisa Michaels, who ran Natural Rhythms. And I became not only an elemental creation coach, but I also worked with her to become a sacred dance facilitator and an elemental creation priestess. And so I worked with her for many years, and I received all of the tools that I needed to create my first dream business, Dancing into Being, taking all of her magic and the structure and then putting my own codes and my hula hoop things and everything that I loved into it. And then I used that same energy to create my second business, which has been Joy Evolution and the Radiant Evolution Collective, and now the Playground with you. And I was able to use this manifestation matrix, the elemental forces of creation, to do all of this creation success. I had the foundation to build a business that was aligned with my highest self because I had the structure and the how to bring all the elements together. And she asked me a month or two ago, a couple months now, if I wanted to be a facilitator of this program. And I was like, tell me more. And she's like, you'd have to rebrand it though. And really you have permission to fully make it your own. And I was like, what? Yes. Take everything that brought me to my place of success and embodiment of all of like my gifts and my dreams and then fuse the next 10 years of my own learning and $100,000 of my own money invested in my personal development and like put that all in a course for people and give them the foundation to creating their own spiritual academy to become a conscious life creation coach. Heck yeah. So it was a big undertaking. And I was like, Nicole, do you want to assist me with this? So making it a reality. She said yes. So we've been working on that together. And what has that been like for you to step into this role of as an entrepreneur who or soulpreneur who's really assisting me in assisting other entrepreneurs? I know we're just at the beginning stages, but you've had a look at it so far.
Yeah, it's been really amazing. So, as I've been, spending this last year trying to figure out exactly what I've been doing, and everything is feels like new. And of course, every time you do something the first time, it's always like harder, it's pushing you out of your comfort zone. And so, I've been realizing though, as I've been taking this trauma training, it felt like a lot of the stuff I was doing was pushing me a little bit out of my window of tolerance where it wasn't in that like comfortable learning zone. It felt like a little bit stressful and like pushing me more into anxiety than I'd like it to. So it's been so amazing to work on this just because I can use all the skills that I already have, and it's not like it's challenging because it's different and new, but it's not pushing me into that like anxiety zone. um, and so I've been really loving that and going through the content. So I got to like put everything all in a spreadsheet. And so going back to Halloween costumes, one year I was actually considering being a spreadsheet because I love them so much. I did not do that, but um, maybe I'll still hold out for that one year. But anyway, so I got to put all the different content for this 2-year program with like 33 modules, like all together in one thing, and really get a good understanding of what is in this program. And it is freaking amazing, you guys. I am so excited to dive deeper into it because I'll be going through and updating all the stuff with your amazing branding. And what I feel like, if you lack the, or if you haven't, maybe, yeah, I guess it would be a lack, but if you're not skilled yet in multidimensionally working with different pieces and different areas in your life, like I feel like we're so taught to like do things in a linear fashion, like this is the next step. But I feel like this program brings it all together multidimensionally as we're working with each different element, and it feels more fluid and And also there's structure though too, so that we have the ability to, have that structure and go with the divine feminine pieces that are in that and the flow. But it feels like it all works together. So I'm so excited that I've seen like the whole like 2 years of what we all get to learn and how to put it all together. um, there's so many options also to like take facility or workshop trainings along the way, so that while you're taking this you can like right away offer workshops on how to use the elements in your life. And there's just so many possibilities and opportunities. There's oracle cards that we're working on creating right now and learning how we can become certified in those. Like there's just so many possibilities. I'm so excited.
It's really interesting because I feel like, yes, it's multidimensional, but in a very rooted, grounded, earth-based way, because it works with the elemental forces of creation, creating this alchemy of a unified field where we are working with all of the elements in harmony in a manifestation and creation matrix. That I feel like when I learned this 10 years ago, it helped me learn how to human, like how to create in the human physical form, which is different than when we're in like our astral bodies, or when we're just made of light, where we can like think and it happens, it appears. But on earth there is an organic process, and this is all about helping people to create and manifest in ways that doesn't leave anything behind. And I'm an all the awesome kind of gal. It's very hard for me to focus on just one thing. So this is like how to weave everything together to create and manifest business success, and then share those creation and manifestation secrets with your clients in like any niche, so I can bring people and bring this earth magic, creation magic, working with Gaia, working with the elemental forces, the wheel of the year, all of that, and ripple it out into humanity, because that's what we need right now. People are so divorced from the earth, from our bodies, and this focuses on the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and aligned action realms. So, of course, that had me at hello basically 10 years ago, and I've used all of it every day since then. Even subconsciously, when I look, there's always all of that being brought in, and it's how I've been able to create so abundantly and successfully. But before I took that, I had trouble with some of the human stuff. So like emotional realm, I was like, icky, no, ew, I don't want to play there. But it helped me become more comfortable and accepting with who I really was and who I was here to be, and my part in that creation harmony that really is. So it's so much fun to work on this with you.
You're so
Especially,
embodied in all of it. It's going to be awesome to see what is there, and then have you also bring all of your other gifts to it as well, like belief repatterning and um, multidimensional things and all of your business skills. That's not the word that I was thinking of, but yeah, you just have so much wisdom to bring into that and share.
yeah, and it'll fit so nicely there. So I'm super excited. I think because we've been talking about it a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in the email for the waitlist. If people are wanting information about this, we will have more information available in September. We've got our Soul Embodiment Summit coming up around the equinox, and that's when we'll be launching this conscious creation certification program. You can learn to build your own spiritual academy through our Radiant Evolution Academy for Conscious Creators. So I'm going to share that in the notes here. So if you are like, yeah, I want to know how to have a business like we do, where we can have the lifestyle that we want to create, work less, have more time for our kids too, and that flexibility, working from home or working from wherever we are on vacation, doing in-person stuff, doing online stuff, groups, clients, retreats, like group workshops. This gives the foundation for all of that. So if that sounds like something you would like, and we can both speak, it's amazing. It's amazing to have this freedom to create in a way that is helping humanity and giving people this alternative paradigm of what is possible. Yeah, you can join the waiting list for that. Do you want to maybe briefly talk about anything else that's coming up for you, the Soul Embodiment Summit, or in the playground?
Yeah, so I'm just dropping some of my links here so you can get a hold of me too while you were talking about that. Yeah, so I am so excited for this month in the playground because we are expanding our intuition. And no matter where you're at, like I can expand my intuition even more. I can clear more blocks to trust what I'm receiving even more. So whether you're new to all of this or seasoned and you want to expand, there's something for you. You're going to lead an amazing, I'm sure, a workshop tonight to help people expand more into that. I'm going to lead a soul journey meditation next week and really helping you to become home and present in your body because that is where we feel all of the information. And if there's trauma or anxiety or anything else there and it doesn't feel safe to be in your body, it's going to be really hard to access your intuition. So, so excited to share all of that stuff in the playground this month. And then the Soul Embodiment Summit is really special. We are launching that soon, but it'll be happening in September. And I remember last year that was like my coming out party. So it'll be my 1 year anniversary of coming out as a spiritual person more publicly as I began this journey. So it's really amazing to see the change that has happened. So we're going to have, I forget the number, like 12 or maybe more speakers, something like that. I can't remember right now. And talking about conscious creation, which is what we've talked so much about today and yesterday as well in our Illumination series. Super inspiring people that are doing big things in the world. It's going to be awesome. And we're also going to be doing an equinox ceremony as well next month. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, sometime this fall, I'm going to be launching the second iteration of the Human Being Program. So it will really be an opportunity to come into your beingness in a safe space to be held likely through a lot of movement. I was just reflecting the other day. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling kind of like funny in my body. I'm like, oh, it's because May and June, I was dancing weekly and now I haven't been doing that. So dancing helps us clear so much. It helps us become those clear channels as well and gives us the opportunity to, or what I want to do is give people the opportunity to just have a space to explore and witness what happens in this container so that you have this information and the opportunity to love yourself even more. Is really what it's all about. But we need that safe space and we need that container sometimes to be able to do that because we don't always make time for ourselves when we're not dedicated to something where we have to show up weekly for it. And whether it's the program or the playground, I think that's what's so special about having those things is like you have that time and space where you can show up rather than just doing it by yourself, because we don't always necessarily do it just by ourselves in the same deep way that we do when we're held in a container. And that's why I love being in your containers so much. Because I tell you, out of like the last year and a half, I think there was maybe 3 months where I wasn't in a container held by you. And those 3 months were a lot harder than the rest of the time. So thank you.
I'll unmute myself. So first off, I will hold you anytime. But it's different. Like, even though we are friends and you can, like lean on me, we can have chats and everything like that are not in a container, it really is different when you are like investing your energy, your time, your money into being held in a space. And when we do that, that is, I think, when we are able to level up the quickest. I know for myself, every time I'm wanting to level up in my business or my body, my beingness, my spirituality, whatever it is, I could try by myself and it usually doesn't go very quickly. What works the best is setting the intention, making the energy exchange and investing in that space to be held specifically for you. I've done it, just this last month with going to a gym to work out in a gym with real people and lift weights and have someone yell at me to keep going. Like, that's really helpful as opposed to just like a video at home, right? It's so different to be immersed in an environment where you have a guide who is holding you. And I think that's really at the very base of what it is that you and I do, and with Nina as well, in the playground, in our retreats, or in any of our programs, even our summits, the free offerings, is creating that space, holding space for people to meet themselves where they are at, but also feel into the possibility, the transformation, right?
Sometimes when you're in a place that's not feeling so good where you're at, it is really hard to see the possibility and the potential of the future because whew, yeah, I've just been there before and it is really difficult. And that's why it's so amazing because, like I said, your gift is to see that full possibility and that brightness that's possible. And there was one time you said to me, and it was so powerful, like, this is a possibility for you. I think I said, what do you see in me that I don't see? And you're like, oh, I see so much, like there's so much potential for you, but you have the choice and you get to choose what you do with that or not. And that really landed with me so deeply because I didn't want to squander the opportunity that I had in front of me. And I think that was like a light switch moment where I realized that I had the power that I didn't know that I had all along.
Oh, I love that. I do have a gift for being able to see the potential of where people are going to be and where they're heading, or their potential trajectory. And actually, so many of the beautiful people on this Evolve Summit are ones that I've known for a decade. And I'm like, I can see the magic. I can see where you're going. And being able to hold space and to like support people in believing that yes, they can, and that they do have a choice, and giving them tools and structures and possibility, and even being an example of what is possible is like my favorite thing ever. So I adore that, and it's so much fun, and it's such a gift, especially because then you see people do that blooming thing and you're just like, yes. Not only just because I love being right, I mean, who doesn't? Right? We're like, told you you were gonna be amazing. Um, not that rubbing that in anybody's face. It's like, no, I called it. You were just a magical being, and it's just ready to be expressed, right? Like that's my favorite thing. Whether it was teaching somebody how to be more badass with a hula hoop, or become, a business person sharing their gifts and their light, or whatever it is, right? It's just, I think the most profoundly moving experience that you can have is witness people coming home to themselves and really owning their power. Like,
Mhm.
it's so fun.
It's so fun. It's so, yeah, so rewarding to see that. And I know when the people that I've worked with have done that, I've just been so proud of them for, because it takes courage to do that. It takes a lot of work and showing up and learning to love yourself and not judge yourself for where you're at is such a huge process for most people I know. So, yeah, it's so powerful.
Mm. Yeah, I wasn't going to mention this, but just it's feeling like it's on my heart. If there's someone who's watching who's looking for some mentorship in that beyond one of the programs like the playground that we're offering, and you'd like some one-on-one support with that, just give me a message, email me or DM me, because I do have one spot that's just opened up with someone that's graduated from my one-on-one coaching program. So that could be you if you're feeling like you would like to believe more in your possibilities and trust yourself enough to actually do the things that you came here to do. Ooh, that's, maybe we should talk.
If you're feeling the call, listen, it is well worth the investment. I went from not thinking I wanted to even possibly be an entrepreneur, and you don't even need to be the entrepreneur, but just if there's something that's feeling stuck or stagnant, or you're not sure what you need in your life, but you've been thinking about working with Aurora, go on an enrollment call with her and explore the possibility. 'Cause it is so worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, with anybody that's watching this, I won't have the same ulterior motive that I did necessarily, but it always could be that we're meant to co-create together. I think that's why I was also feeling in, because it was not just your trajectory, but like our trajectory of like, we have things we have to do together, friend. And we need the space and time to do them.
Yeah, that is true. You have said that many times that it's also a little bit selfish on your part.
Right? Because we get to rise together. So selfish is definitely not the right word, but it can feel like that sometimes because like I can't wait for things to open up and we can do those retreats we've been dreaming of in Hawaii, Costa Rica, Sedona, wherever they're going to be, even closer to home to start. I don't care. It's just so much fun to co-create magic with you. And online is amazing, but in person is extra special, especially after this year that we've had.
Yeah, it's going to be so magical when we get to do that first event in person together again and have all the wisdom that we have gained in the past 6 years since we did the first one, and mm, so much more confidence and knowledge, and so many more gifts to share with whoever chooses to attend. It was fucking magical before, and it's just going to be like next level next time.
Oh yeah, there have been many upgrades. So, as we're closing up, Nicole, you said you dropped in how people can connect with you. That's something amazing, how they can connect with you or join the playground to play in the energy, that container of possibility for conscious creators. What is the last thing that is on your heart to say to people that are going through this evolutionary process, whether it's stepping in as an entrepreneur or just following more of what their soul alignment and cosmic trajectory is?
What's coming through is get out of your own damn way. And I say that with love. That's my journey. I had to get out of my own damn way. You can feel into all the possibility of what could be, but you only have to do the next right thing that's in front of you and following those little intuitive hits. And if you're feeling like it's overwhelming and you're like, I don't know what to do or where to start, always, always, always come back into your heart, get into that aligned space where you're connected, body, mind, heart, and soul, and come. Whenever I do this, my heart's like, oh, it's just offering you a little transmission. So I invite you to close your eyes and receive. And if you are having a difficult time receiving this, maybe because you need to work with some clearing trauma in your body, and that's okay too. Just allowing yourself to receive. This is like just a 0 point transmission, bringing you into this aligned state and asking yourself, what is the next right thing I need to do right now? And listening to the answer, even if it doesn't make sense, because that has really been my whole journey. And it doesn't lead you astray, I don't think. If you're listening to what is in alignment in that moment, it's like your higher self giving you a breadcrumb. Follow this thing and follow this thing and follow this thing. And you don't need to know where you're going to end up. Just do the next right thing.
Mm. Mm.
Just breathing that in.
Mm. Thank you so much. Just a surprise, my heart wants to transmit to you. So, for those who are energetically sensitive or intuitive, or if you're not, like if you're intuitive, you felt that, if you were able to receive the energy. If you don't, I just want to describe to you, it feels when her heart goes transmit, it feels like a wave of love that's like a cuddly warm blanket full of tingles, full of dropping me into the present moment in that 0 point space of, yeah, everything already is. It's fine. Like, you don't have to stress about it. There's no need to push, force, rush. Let's just be here for a moment and reset, regroup, and then you can continue with what you're doing in a much more aligned and fluid way. That's what I get, at least.
Mm-hmm. That is what I also feel. So I'm glad you are picking up what my heart is sending out.
Yes. Nicole, it's been so delightful to have this chat. If you really enjoy hearing us talk, we often have conversations on Mondays with Nina Infinity as well, our Illumination series. But we also do offer the Playground Together, that monthly membership for $33 a month. It is US dollars though, for that 33 code, so that you can have a container for transformation for conscious creators. So if that is on your heart, jump in and join us. Otherwise, I will be back with Nicole, I believe, next Monday to chat about something entirely different. We're never sure until we get there.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, I will be creating this Evolve Summit series, continuing with Ashley Vandebrandt at noon Mountain Time, and then Nina Infinity at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So I hope you can join me then. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of these interviews. And we're just going to send you a whole bunch of love to see you on your way. Have a beautiful and blessed day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.